What's up again, everybody? I'm Clayton. Welcome to Ages of Film. And today we're doing something new. We are going to be ranking all 10 Oscar award-winning best films from the 1970s. Why? For no specific reason other than it's something new that I haven't done on the channel yet. Something I thought would be fun, and something that I realized recently that I had seen, like, I don't know, 6 or 7 of the best picture winners from that decade. I was scrolling through the different, best picture Oscar winners over the years, and I realized when I was getting to the 70s, I had seen like 7 out of the 10. And I was like, well, I'm just going to go ahead and watch the other 3, the 3 that I haven't seen yet. And after I watched them, I was like, well, since I've seen all 10 of these, might as well just do a ranking video, since I enjoy doing ranking videos on my channel. This can also kind of be the kickoff to a new series that we do of ranking the Oscar winning best pictures from a certain decade. So this is it. Starting with the 70s. Kind of weird, I know, just kind of starting there. But yeah, just as a reminder and a disclaimer to everybody, this is just my opinion on these movies. No need to be upset or offended by anything that I have to say. Let me know your opinion in the comment section. Have you seen all 10 of these films? If you have, how would you rank them? If you haven't, let me know which ones you haven't seen. And of the ones you have seen, which is your favorite? So, yeah, this was also kind of an idea that I got from Brian Lomax, who I recently did the collab of the Ridley Scott ranking with. Go check out Brian's channel as well. He's also done something similar like this, going in and kind of ranking best picture Oscar winners from certain decades. So yeah, kind of the idea kind of came from Brian. So yeah, go check out his channel too while you're at it. But all right, so let's get into this ranking. We're gonna start from the bottom, work our way up, and I'll just go ahead and say right off the bat, there's not a bad film on here. I mean, all 10 of these movies are really good films. So when I say my number 10 or my number 9 or my number 8, just because these movies are at the bottom doesn't mean I don't like them, doesn't mean that they're bad films. All 10 of these movies are really good films. The lowest that I have any of these is 3.5 stars. So that's a really good rating. So yeah, not a bad film on here, which is to be expected. I mean, if you're an Oscar award-winning best film, I would expect you to be a pretty darn good film. And all 10 of these are pretty good. So starting from the bottom, number 10, we have The French Connection. A film from 1971. It won the Oscar in 1972 for Best Picture of 1971. Stars Gene Hackman and Roy Schneider. And yeah, kind of a detective movie. It is based on a real life case, which is kind of cool and kind of fascinating. It takes place in New York. And, you have Gene Hackman as the lead character here, does a really good job in his performance as Detective Doyle and Popeye Doyle. He does a really good job. It's a very good film. I do think it is maybe slightly overrated though. I personally didn't really get much out of it. I don't think that this movie really had much to say about anything. When you're watching this movie, it's entertaining. It's a very entertaining film. I'm definitely invested in the story, and I enjoy a good detective story like this anyways. So it is entertaining. I like the characters. I like the performances. It's pretty well directed. I just, for me, because there's not a lot of meat on the bone here, it's just not a film that really is going to move me in any way. It's not a film that's going to, challenge me in any way, or a film that has many layers to it. It's basically just your typical detective film. And you have the character played by Gene Hackman, who is obsessed in his job and in solving this case. And on the opposite side of that, the main kind of mob boss crime guy that they're after is also obsessed with what he does and with making sure he gets away with his crime. And so the two characters are supposed to kind of play off each other and be, equal sides of kind of the same coin, being obsession. But I just feel like, as far as commentary, as far as storytelling goes, it falls flat for me. That's why this movie's at the bottom. I just don't really feel it really offered me much or had really anything to say that was of any great meaning personally to me. So still a very good film. 3.5 stars. I enjoy it. It is entertaining. I would recommend it if you haven't seen it. If nothing else, just to see Gene Hackman at the top of his game here. So French Connection, number 10. Moving on to number 9, we have The Sting, which was the Oscar award-winning best film for 1973. Its release year. It stars Paul Newman and Robert Redford, and also Robert Shaw as kind of the main crime boss here in the film. Another 3.5 star film, a very good movie. I could see this movie going up for me, honestly. If any of these films were to fluctuate, go up or down, I think it would be this one. I could see The Sting going up for me in the future upon more viewings. This was my first time to see this film. I liked it. I really liked it. I thought it was a very good movie. Paul Newman does a great job. Robert Redford does a great job. They have great chemistry together on screen. For me, I think where it falls flat is, again, kind of in the story. The story is brilliantly crafted. It kind of follows these con artists, and you see them kind of building this scheme to try to con a mob boss, who is responsible for killing a mutual friend of the two protagonists, by Robert Redford and Paul Newman. And that mob boss, played by Robert Shaw, he is responsible for killing one of their mutual friends. They come together. They kind of both need each other to form and pull off this con, and in order to nail Robert Shaw's character. So, and the way that it's crafted and executed, it's a brilliantly told film. I think it also kind of has themes that it's trying to explore, exploring kind of morality and shades of gray when it's set in the 1930s, right during the Great Depression, and when the law isn't really upheld. It kind of explores the themes of right and wrong, and is it okay to take matters into your own hands if the law isn't enacting justice, right? If the law isn't doing their job, does it then fall on you as a citizen to take matters into your own hands? You also have themes of revenge, retribution, and stuff like that. It's a very well crafted story, and I give it high praise for that. But for me, again, I have a hard time for me personally, and everyone's different, and I'm not judging anyone who doesn't have this problem, but for me, I kind of find it hard to fully invest or connect to lead protagonist characters who are also in the wrong. Like characters that are also clearly, criminals or people doing bad things. It's kind of hard for me to to pull for them. And although Robert Redford and Paul Newman have a lot of charm and charisma in this film, and they have very likable personalities, it's hard for me to really root for them when they themselves are criminals and they themselves are, getting into crime and doing things that I personally would not condone. So the characters here is what kind of holds this movie back some. The fact that I don't fully invest with any character here to really kind of pull for them or root for them, in any way. And if the characters, because the characters are the ones that make up the story. The characters are the ones telling a story in any film. So if the characters don't cut it for you, it's going to be hard to have a really positive viewing experience, at least for me personally, if there's no characters for me to latch onto, because again, the characters are the ones telling the story. So yeah, for me, The Sting is a very good film, brilliantly crafted. I think it is well deserved of its Best Picture win, but the lack of connection to any of the characters here is what really kind of holds it back some for me. Moving into number 8, we have The Deer Hunter from 1978, Best Picture from 1979 of 1978. And it stars Robert De Niro and Christopher Walken, and it's, again, a great film. This is a 4-star film here. The next several are going to be all 4-star films. Great film, a great movie. I think that Walken really kind of steals the show here. I think he actually, even though he's more the supporting role, I think he actually does outshine De Niro in this film. Walken is very, very good in this movie. And De Niro is good too. It's not like De Niro doesn't turn in a great performance. He's on par as well, but Walken, I feel, is even more captivating in this film than De Niro is. But a great film, kind of following these two soldiers, that were both POWs during Vietnam, and they are both suffering with, obviously, Walken is suffering from PTSD, and even De Niro is trying to move on with his life and trying to live a normal life as a civilian, but even he is struggling fitting back into society. And I think it explores kind of the effects that war has on people, and kind of explores society kind of abandoning our veterans and people that have served our country, and kind of kicking them to the curb, and what can come from that, and what can happen to our soldiers and people that need help when they're neglected, where that can lead. And the ending of the film hits hard. It definitely has kind of an emotional impact with the roulette scene with De Niro and Walken. I don't want to spoil it if anyone hasn't seen the film. It's a very powerful scene, but yeah, because I'm invested with Walken and De Niro, what happens there in that last scene, it hits emotionally, because I care about these guys. They are likable guys. You know, they're heroes and they're soldiers and they're people that I like. I want them to make it. I want them to figure it out. I want Walken to get help. I want De Niro to, you know, make it in life. And so when what happens at the end happens, it hits emotionally for me. So great film. I mean, I recommend all these movies to anyone who hasn't seen them, but yeah, The Deer Hunter would be number 8 for me. Coming in at number 7, we have Patton, which was released in 1970. It was the best picture, the Oscar, took home the Oscar for best picture in 1971. Obviously, it's a story of General Patton and kind of his life, particularly of his journey in the military to becoming the general that in the, you know, famous person that he became to be. But to me, what I love about this film is the performance of Patton by I forget his name right now. I apologize. I've seen him in a number of things. He's a very good actor, but he gives such a captivating performance here that I'm fully like glued to the screen. And he portrays Patton in such a, you know, kind of likable, charismatic way that you can't help but just be like, yeah, this is a cool dude, you know. But I think it also kind of shows some of the consequences. I think it shows that every decision has consequences and the responsibility that comes with leadership and how every decision can and will impact someone or something. And I think it highlights the significance of having wisdom in leadership roles and the price that comes with bad decision making and the benefits that can come with good decision making, and kind of shows the ins and outs of, you know, those kind of decisions made in military settings, and specifically when it involves war and involves conflict and battle and human life, how significant every decision that you make along the way is. And I just think it's brilliantly constructed and put together with a great central leading performance. The opening monologue by Patton is just an awesome scene, man. Just a great monologue, an iconic scene, and it gets you hyped for the rest of the film. And so yeah, I love Patton. Great film. It would be number 7 for me. Coming in at number 6, we have Annie Hall from 1977, was the best picture of 1978. Another great film, 4 stars. And yeah, this was a Woody Allen film, and I think it's a very deep film that's very layered, and it has kind of a non-linear story structure to it. The way that Woody Allen crafts this film, puts it together, edits it, narrates it, and even his performance is the kind of the lead character here is, I think, just genius. It's a brilliant film, and when you get to the end, I think this is a film that kind of it lingered on my mind a little bit afterwards. You know, I was thinking about this film quite a bit the rest of the day after I saw it, and just kind of the deeper meaning that it has and what it was actually saying. You know, it's a story that really kind of explores relationships and the complexity of human relationships and the struggle of trying to make relationship works and finding the meaning in relationships. You know, Woody Allen plays this guy that's trying to find meaning in life, trying to find meaning in relationships. He's been in and out of many relationships, and then he finally comes across Annie Hall, played by Diana Keaton, brilliantly by Diana Keaton, And they have a unique relationship that's unique to the other relationships that Woody Allen has had. And, they come from two different perspectives, two different outlooks on life, two different outlooks on relationships. They have different social backgrounds. They have different societal backgrounds, different family backgrounds, and they're trying to make this relationship work. There's conflict, there's tension there that they have to work out and work through. And I think this film has something to say really about how society can affect relationships and how society will also impact how people view relationships and what they feel relationships are meant to be. A lot of that comes from the society that we live in, and it kind of explores those themes and the complexity of relationships, and how at the end it's really about the experiencing relationships with other people, and how those relationships can change you. And when you find the meaning of relationships, even ones that don't work, because at the end, Annie Hall and Woody Allen's character doesn't work out in the end. But the dialogue by Woody Allen, as he kind of breaks the fourth wall, telling the audience, the story, the joke about the guy who went to the doctor, told the doctor that his friend was crazy because he thought he was the chicken or whatever. And you have that dialogue by Woody Allen, and it's a hint to the audience about what the film is truly about. And I just think it's a brilliantly crafted film with a lot of heart to it, and a pretty significant meaning to it as well that's there in it. So Annie Hall would be number 6 for me. Great film, and really enjoyed it. Number 5, I have One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest from 1975, Best Picture of 1976, starring Jack Nicholson. You also get early Brad Dourif, who's brilliant in the film, Danny DeVito, just a number of big names in the movie. Great film. Again, a lot of meaning to it. It definitely has an emotional punch to it as well, especially in that third act. Brilliant performances all around, very well directed, and it's a classic. I've seen it a number of times, still holds up well. I think the pacing is really good. It kind of goes by pretty quickly, I feel, and I'm always shocked when the ending comes, that it comes that fast, because I'm so, the performances are so good, and I'm always engaged with the story and with the characters, that it just kind of flies by for me. So great film. Number 5. Coming in at number 4, we have Kramer versus Kramer from 1979, the Best Picture of 1980. Another great film with a great performance by Dustin Hoffman and a great performance by Meryl Streep. A film that I think, this is a 4.5-star film, and I think that for me, this movie had really deep meaning to it, and I think it kind of highlights the meaning of family and of fatherhood and of motherhood, and how both parents are needed in a family for kids. A child needs his father. A child needs his mother or her mother. And no family is perfect, but if you can work out the tensions and work through the complexities of family drama and communicate well, you can work through it. And I think it also shows the importance of owning your mistakes in a relationship, owning instead of pointing the finger at the other person and pointing out all of their flaws in the marriage or in the family or in the relationship, it starts by owning your mistakes first and owning what you could have done better. And that's showcased in this film when both Hoffman and Street have to own their problems and have to own their mistakes in the relationship and why it didn't work. And that's the beginning of healthy communication between each other. And that's the beginning of making the relationship work and keeping the family together for the kid's sake. And I just think that it has a lot of meaning to it. It's got a lot of heart. You feel for this kid. You want him to be able to be with both his mom and his dad, and you're wanting Hoffman and Meryl Streep to work things out, so yeah, some powerful scenes, court scenes there, and just a really beautiful film, beautifully told story, great performances, 4.5-star film, very well deserving of its best film Oscar. Coming in at number 3, we have The Godfather Part 2 from 1974, Best Picture of 1975. Two of the best films ever made, The Godfather Part 1 and 2. Both are great films. You have, a group of people that think Part 2 is better, group of people that think Part 1 is better. I personally, obviously, lean more on the group that says Part 1 is better. But both are 5-star films. All 3 of these top 3 are 5-star films for me. So, Godfather Part 2 is a perfect film. So it's not like Part 1 is significantly better than Part 2. They're both 5-star films. It's just picking out, certain things to justify why one is higher than the other. I love both films. Both are great, but I do think Part 1 is better than Part 2. But Part 2, great film. Some of the best acting that you'll ever see, really. Al Pacino is great in this film as Michael Corleone, developing that character more, kind of coming into power now as the leader of the family. And he's, this movie explores consequences, and I think it also kind of highlights the tragedy and the pain that comes with mob life. There are definitely those mob type of movies that kind of glorify the mob life and make that life look really fun and appealing and attractive. I don't think that's what The Godfather movies do. I think it actually shows the devastation that life brings, and the hurt and the pain that it brings both to the people involved and how it destroys other people's lives and how it ruins relationships and how it breaks people. So I don't think it glorifies crime or mob life. I think it actually exploits it and actually shows the devastation that comes from it. I mean, we see how broken Michael is by the end of this movie and the struggles that he's going through internally, and that, he is so committed to the family and to the crime and to what he's doing that he loses his family essentially. And he gets too far in, he digs too deep and kind of loses himself, loses his family, and is destroyed really by his life of crime. So great film, great performances by everybody, very iconic lines, brilliant dialogue, and just a brilliant film. I mean, it's one of the best films ever made on a number of different movie ranking and critics out there, and deservedly so. It's brilliantly directed, brilliantly written, brilliantly acted, very entertaining, has emotion to it, and Godfather Part 2 is my number 3. Coming in at number 2, we have Rocky from 1976, Best Picture of 1977. Big Rocky fan, grew up as a big Rocky fan, love the Rocky movies. I used to binge the Rocky movies as a teenager, and just loved them. Thought they were, the best thing since sliced bread. So yeah, but I do think the first Rocky is still probably the best, although Rocky 3 might be my favorite. But certainly the first Rocky is probably still the best of the Rocky movies. 5-star film, just so motivating. The fight with Apollo is just, you want Rocky to win so bad. You want him to win so bad. He's this underdog who's coming from the streets of Philly, working his way up, trying to make it as a fighter, and has this big breakthrough and opportunity to win the belt, to be the champion. And you want Rocky to win so bad that when he doesn't, you feel bad that he lost. But the movie does such a great job in highlighting the fact that Rocky does actually win. He wins by getting in the ring with Apollo. He wins by going the distance and just making it going the distance, something that no one else had done with Apollo, shows that he did have a champion spirit within him, and that just shooting his shot and being willing to get in there with the best fighter in the world, Apollo 13, is a victory. And I think it also does a great job at changing people's perspective on loss, and how you can look at defeat in two different ways. You can look at defeat in a very deflating perspective, and you get, you feel defeated, you feel deflated, and you can let that defeat negatively affect you, or you can turn a loss into a win by how you come out on the other side, and how you see and how you view the loss. And so I think this it's just a brilliant film, and Stallone does a great job as Rocky. His relationship with Adrian is played out beautifully. Mickey, played by the late great, what is his name? I should know his name. I cannot believe I'm forgetting the actor's name who played Mickey. Anyway, we all love Mickey, right? Mickey, he's a can of corn, man. He's the best. So he's great in the film. Great movie. It's been around for eons. If you haven't seen Rocky, remedy that and go watch Rocky today. It's number 2 for me. But coming in at number 1, obviously the only film from this decade I haven't mentioned, and that is The Godfather Part 1 from 1972. Best Picture winner of 1973. Just a great film. Classic, must watch for sure. Anyone who hasn't seen The Godfather, you're missing out on truly one of the best films ever made. 5 stars. Brando is brilliant. Al Pacino is brilliant. Caan is brilliant. James Caan. I mean, just everybody just does a great job. Again, some of the best acting you'll see across the board by everybody. Great scenes, memorable dialogue. I think this one has a little bit more heart to it as well than the second one, and I'm invested a little bit more with the characters in this one as well. And the character development, I think, is better handled in this one also from part 2. So there are a few reasons I do prefer part 1 over part 2, but I mean, both of them are 5-star masterpieces. So yeah, Godfather Part 1, is my number one of best of the 1970 Best Picture Oscar winners. So that's a mouthful. But yeah, that's it, guys. That's my ranking of all the Best Picture winners from the 1970s. I'll probably be doing more of these along the way, in the future. But yeah, there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. What is your favorite of all these movies? And until next time, kick it and rock on.